Gary Holt had run sanitation routes in Columbus for nearly 20 years, and he survived on routine and one personal rule. He never took anything unless it was clearly set out for pickup, and even then he didn't shop other people's trash. Since his wife died, the rule was the last clean line he could control. His son Avon had a college deposit deadline circled on the kitchen calendar. His daughter Mia had exam fees, senior requirements, and a talent for saying "I'm good" while quietly cutting back on everything she wanted. Gary's paycheck covered rent, food, utilities, and little else, and the gap kept getting louder as spring bills arrived. On a calm stretch of his routine, he saw something that didn't match the usual curbside mess. Black storage totes with bright yellow lids lined beside regular trash cans, clean, sealed, stacked like someone planned it. Two at one house, three further down, then another. These weren't city bins, and they weren't casually throwaways, and Gary felt it immediately. This was a fast purge, the kind that happens when people move in a hurry or when something breaks behind closed doors. He drove past the first set because that was the safe choice, but the old fear started working on him. Deadlines don't wait, and honest effort doesn't magically stretch. After his shift, he circled back in his personal car, parked off the block, and walked it like he was checking his own judgment. No one came out. No voices, no porch lights, no neighbor hovering with the phone. He told himself the curb meant abandoned property, that landfill was the alternative, that he was still inside the rules, but his hands didn't believe it. He loaded only a few thoughts into his garage that night and opened them expecting something worse than risk. Most were a slap of reality, old towels, worn-out decor, magazines, broken household junk that would never pay for a single campus fee. He felt stupid, then angry at himself for even hoping. Then the last thought changed everything without trying. Inside were envelopes tied with string, a shallow tray, and stamped albums organized with labels and care, kept like person's pride, not their trash. Gary wasn't a collector, but he knew the difference between clutter and inventory. He searched a few markings online, learned most were common, but some weren't worthless, and that small not worthless result hit him like a warning. It didn't solve college, but it proved something dangerous. The curb could hold money, and he'd been driving past it for years. The next day he worked the route with the same steady hands, but his eyes were different, and he hated that. Near the end of the afternoon, on a quiet block of well-kept houses, he saw a row that made him brake hard. 10, maybe 12 yellow-lidded tots stacked neatly, like an instruction someone didn't want to explain. Gary loaded them fast, controlled, making it look like routine work because looking guilty could cost him his job, even if he'd done nothing illegal. That night he opened the nearest lid and found a clothes pouch placed on top, clean, centered, intentional. He loosened the drawstring and something inside shifted with a soft, precise clink that didn't belong in the trash. Gary froze because whatever was in the pouch felt expensive, recent, and wrong in a way money usually is, and he understood the stamps were never the story. They were the warm-up. Gary pulled the pouch out and opened it under the garage light like he was handling evidence. Inside was a watch in a felted case, heavy in a way cheap metal never is, with clean glass and a band that felt engineered, not stamped. Under it were branded cases, spare links, serial paperwork, and receipts folded flat, as if someone planned to come back for them. In the same tot he found a designer handbag wrapped in a dust cover, hardware intact, stitching tight, the kind of item Gary had only seen behind glass, at malls he couldn't afford to walk into. What scared him wasn't just the value. It was how recent everything looked. This wasn't an attic clean-out from 10 years ago, this was life packed fast and dumped faster. He didn't run online and post it, he didn't brag, didn't tell the kids, didn't even sleep much. First he tried to do the clean thing. He went back to the street where the stack of tots had been sitting and knocked on the door of the house with the rest still hanging crooked. No answer. He tried again the next day, then asked neighbor, careful with his words. The neighbor only shrugged and said the family moved out overnight. Trucks late, no goodbye, and nobody seemed eager to discuss it. That answer didn't clear Gary's conscience, but it gave him a simple fact: there was no obvious to return to, and standing on porches with a luxury watch in a pocket was a good way to turn yourself into a suspect. So Gary did the boring, safe thing that keeps a working man alive. He created a paper trail. He called a reputable consignment shop across town and asked what a person should do if they had items that might be valuable and wanted to sell them right away. The owner didn't sound excited, might be valuable and wanted to sell them right away. She sounded strict. Authentication first, serial checks, receipts if available, no black alley deals. Gary paid for small clasp repair on the handbag at a repair shop that gave him an invoice. Then walked into the consignment store with everything wrapped and documented. The owner examined stitching, hardware, codes, and the watch markings with a loupe, then looked up like she'd just found the part of the story that mattered. She confirmed that Gary had started to fear it was authentic and it was worth real money. The sales didn't explode overnight. They moved in controlled steps: photos, listings, verifications, buyers who asked smart questions and paid through tracked channels. The slowness was the only thing that let Gary breathe, because slow meant legitimate. When the final numbers came back after fees and repairs, Gary sat at his kitchen table staring at the statement like it was printed in a different language. Just under $30,000, not fantasy money, but enough to pay Avon's deposit, cover first semester costs, and keep Mia from having to skip opportunities because we can't. Gary didn't spend it like a lucky man, he spent it like a father who'd been afraid for years. Bills first, school cost next, then a small savings account with both kids' names on it because he wanted the money to become stability, not a story. He told Avon the truth the way a parent tells, a truth that has no hold up later. He found abandoned property set out for pickup, verified it through legitimate businesses, sold it through proper channels, and kept records in case anyone ever showed proof it belonged to them. Avon didn't cheer, he went quiet, then asked the only question that mattered. Did this put you at risk? Gary answered honestly, yes, it scared him. And yes, he was careful because he refused to let desperation turn him into a different man. Avon didn't argue, he hugged him, awkward and tight, the way teenagers do when they don't want to cry, and in that moment Gary felt the pressure in his chest finally ease. Spring kept moving, Avon left for college on schedule, Mia stopped saying I'm good so automatically, Gary still drove the same routes, still woke up early, still did work nobody thanked him for, but his house sounded different now. Less quiet fear, more normal noise, and every time he walked past the garage wall where those yellow-lidded tots had once been lined up, he remembered the real lesson. The future didn't arrive like a miracle, it arrived like a test, and for once, he passed it, without police, without scandal, and without losing the part of himself his wife had trusted the most.